All right, glad to be back with you guys. I'm going to knock 2 videos out tonight. Haven't had a lot of time to jump on here, but I started thinking a little bit like, man, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to touch on some basics. However, this first video is not going to be. I'm not going to be touching on no basics. I'm just going to do a comparison, the NIV versus the KJV. So I'd like you to see the stark differences in there, and then you decide if one of them is lying and then the other one is not. So all right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna be all over the Bible. We're gonna start off in Daniel chapter 3. We're gonna start off in Daniel chapter 3, verse 25. Again, that's Daniel 3:25. Daniel 3:25. And I want to start off there. And I'm not doing these in any particular order. I tried to go in order, but then I just started thinking of verses that I knew, and then just did those. And so I did not go in any particular order. Okay, again, that's Daniel chapter 3. Verse 25 is the first one I'm going to touch on. All right. King James says, "He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they had no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God." Capital S, capital G. The NIV says, "And the 4th looks like a son, lowercase s, of the gods," lowercase g, and that one's plural. So, Houston, we have a major problem. Okay, Matthew chapter 5, verse 22, verse 22, verse 22. Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. And then we'll stay right in Matthew. We'll jump over to chapter 23, and then we'll bust right on into Mark. All right, again, that's Matthew 5:22. "But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment." And that's where I'll stop on that verse. There's still the second half of the verse. But I wanted to touch on that point right there. Because the NIV says, whoever is angry with his brother. But the King James says, angry with his brother without a cause. Was Jesus ever angry? Yeah, he sure was. Okay, Matthew chapter 23. We'll do 23, verse 14. Again, that's Matthew chapter 23 and verse 14. "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites!" And I'll stop right there because that's the part of the verse I want to touch on. So, that verse is not found there in the NIV. It's completely gone, but it's got a footnote that says some manuscripts include here words similar to Mark chapter 12, verse 40 and Luke 20:47, which they say the same as, "But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." See, you see how the NIV is starting this pattern of taking out things that sound bad or that sound like someone's angry or talk. This is Jesus straight up calling them hypocrites, but yet the NIV and all their corrupt heretics that edited that thing, they've taken that out. Okay, moving on. Mark chapter 1. Again, that's Mark chapter 1, verse 2. Verse 2. Now, I'm not going to read, just for sake of time, I'm not going to read the entire verses of these. Some of them I will. But I think I just quoted the portion that I wanted you to see. Now you can go back and read these anytime you'd like. Okay, again, that's Mark chapter 1, verse 2. "As it is written in the prophets." Okay, that's the part I wanted you to hone in on. "As it is written in the prophets." Well, the NIV says, "Written in Isaiah the prophet." Well, This is found in Malachi chapter 3, verse 1, and Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3. So it wasn't just Isaiah. So what did the NIV do to you once again? They clearly lie. There's another problem with the NIV. That's another, if it's not the entire truth, if it tells one lie, then it's corrupt. And obviously we've seen verse after verse. That's what the NIV does. Okay, Hebrews chapter 3, verse 16. Again, that's Hebrews 3, verse 16. Almost there, almost there. The portion of this verse, well, I'll read the whole thing. For some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. That's what I want to hone in on. Out of Egypt by Moses. Howbeit not all that came out of Egypt, okay? So the NIV says, all those Moses led out of Egypt. Let's see what Moses said to his people. In Deuteronomy, so you don't have to flip there, I'm just going to read this to you because it ties right in with it. In Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 29 to 30. Again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 29 to 30. Then I said unto you, dread not, neither be afraid of them. The Lord your God, which goeth before you, he shall fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. And in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 2, again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 2. And Moses called unto all Israel and said unto them, ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt unto Pharaoh, and unto all his servants, and unto all his land. So not all that came out of Egypt did rebel, period. So the NIV, once again, proves that it's a liar and it cannot be trusted. All right, back to Acts chapter 4, verse 27. Again, that's Acts chapter 4, and that is verse 27. Again, Acts chapter 4, verse 27. All right. King James says, for of a truth against thy holy child Jesus, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together. Okay, so the point I wanted you to see here was holy child. NIV says holy servant. This is a clear denial of the deity of Jesus Christ. A blatant denial. Okay, while we're in Acts, flip on over to Acts chapter 8. Acts chapter 8, and we'll get verse 37. Acts 8, 37. King James says, and Philip said, if thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Well, let me give you a big fat guess. Do you think it's found in the NIV? No, it's completely removed. Why in the world would they remove that? Why in the world would they remove that Jesus is the Son of God? All right, Romans chapter 13, verse 9. Again, that's Romans chapter 13, verse 9. Romans 13, 9. King James says, for this, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I don't even know what the NIV says. I'm sure it's probably missing. I didn't write it down on here. But I'm sure that's missing. Just go compare it. I don't know why I didn't come back and write that in there. I have no idea. But anyway. Okay, so 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. 2 Timothy 2:15. This is a verse I've come to love. And I'll tell you what, it solves all problems. I can promise you that. Again, that's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to shew thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Well, the NIV says, do your best. Correctly handle. Do your best, huh? Correctly handle. No. So the only time in our King James Bible, in the New Testament, where we are commanded to study, and they have completely removed it. They say, do your best. That's unbelievable. So, just throw this in real quick. So, a letter from the International Bible Version Committee by Kenneth L. Barker. You know, they tell you that the Vaticanus and the Sinaiticus, in the letter, they talk about it, but they remove Mark chapter 16, verses 9 through 20 in the 1995 version, but insert it back in the 2011 edition. And they don't tell you why. You know why? Because he told you in the letter. Man, you guys ought to read that letter. And it'll blow your mind. But anyway, it's by Kenneth L. Barker. They tell you that the Vaticanus and the Sinaiticus, right? And we know where those manuscripts come from, and we know who goes off of those today, right? Okay, so moving on to Luke, the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 33. Again, that's Luke 2:33. Luke 2:33. All right. And Joseph and his mother marveled at those things which were spoken. Okay. So the King James says Joseph and his mother. The NIV says father and mother. Well, I'm sorry, but Joseph was not Jesus' father. Point blank, period. So again, the NIV is incorrect. It's a lie. All right, 1 Timothy 3:16. Again, that's 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. 1 Timothy 3:16. Almost there. 2 Thessalonians. All right, 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. Verse 16. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into glory. Okay. So, 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. Was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, and he was, what was he? He was received up into glory. So, hold on, 1 Timothy 3:16. Am I in the wrong book again? Maybe that was 2 Timothy. Hold on. I think I'm messing up here now. Because that wasn't the verse that I wanted. Without natural affection, church records. Yeah, I guess I want. Chapter 2, verse 15. Where are we at, man? No, because he was received up into glory, so God appeared in a body. But that wasn't the verse. Huh. I think I wrote that one down wrong, but I'm not gonna stop the video or do the video over again just because of that. Dang on. I might have to come back or put it in the notes, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. But that's the greatest version, the greatest verse on the incarnation, and they removed God. Are you kidding me? So let's see. Hold on a second. Let me go back to it. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. Without controversy, created as mistake. God was manifest in the flesh. So, God appeared in a body, right? Jesus Christ, right? I don't know why I wrote it like that in my notes, but in the NIV it says he appeared in a body. Who appeared in a body? God appeared in a body. And who was that? Jesus Christ, right? Like I said, that's the greatest verse on the incarnation. They removed God. Are you kidding me? Okay. And then 1 John 5:7. Again, that's 1 John 5:7. Let's see what I'm going to pull it up on the Blue Letter Bible app just because I didn't write down what it says in the NIV. But we're about to see right now. Let's go NIV. Hold on. 1 John 5:7 NIV. Go. Oh boy, this is rough. Okay, so this one right here is one of the most corrupt. 1 John 5:7. I'm going to read the King James first, right? For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. The NIV says, for there are three that testify. That's it. For there are three that testify. Because 1 John 5:8 says, and there are three that bear witness in earth, the Spirit and the water and the blood, and these three agree in one. So the NIV got that verse right, but it completely removed the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. What a shame. What a travesty. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys got a little clarity out of that, and you see why the NIV is corrupt and why you should only use the King James Bible. And I am a King James Bible through and through, 100%. That's all I read. I don't read anything else because, as you can see, they're liars. If you find one thing wrong with it, then the entire thing is incorrect. Just throw it in a daggone trash can. All right, grace and peace, and hopefully you guys got some clarity out of that, and hopefully I didn't confuse you down there on 1 Timothy 3:16. I wrote it in my notes wrong, so I don't know why I had it worded the way I did. That was my fault. It was the correct verse, but okay. Grace and peace to you guys.